my pleasure to introduce Gopalkrishnan. Gopalkrishnan is one of the directors and partners of the Kaizen Institute. He'll be sharing with us some of the key building blocks as we see it in the Kaizen Institute, which is very important for leadership. And over to you, Gopal-san. He brings several decades of experience in the improvement domain. He has been in the industry, he has worked in several countries, and he's been with the Kaizen Institute also for several decades. Thank you very much, Gopal.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't get the energy. How many of you are still sleeping? Those who are absent, please raise your hands. You may be physically present and mentally absent. So let's all get back to it. There's a lot of, short of time. So let's get on to this. I'm here to share a few thoughts on the purpose of leadership in leading a Kaizen transformation. So before getting into it, I would like to go back to basics. We all know what do we mean by Kaizen, right? It's a combination of two Japanese terms, Kai and Zen. Kai stands for change, Zen means good, that means it's change for better. Anything that's happening for good is called as development or improvement, and anything that happens for bad is deterioration. And obviously we all want that, right? But Sensei Masaki Imai-san had added a twist to this explanation. He said that change for better or change for good has to happen involving everyone in the organization, from gateman to chairman, happening, involving everybody, happening everywhere, not only in certain pockets. And it has to happen every day, not only on selected days. So what does it mean? The subtle meaning is when I keep doing it every day, it becomes a habit. Do you all agree or not? Are we together? So when I keep doing it every day, it becomes a habit, and everybody does it, and the collective habits become the culture. Right? So that is what the objective is all about, to create a culture, because today I cannot see culture. Culture is an abstract. Right? We cannot see culture, and when I cannot see culture, can I change it? Some answers. When I cannot see a culture, how can I change it? So we create a culture of continuous improvement. How to do that? By empowering your employees or making them as problem solvers. In the sense, you have to, if they have to solve their problems, you have to empower them. If you have to empower them, you have to educate them. If you have to educate them, you have to engage them. So Kaizen is all about engaging, educating, and empowering your employees so that they don't count on their superiors to provide a solution in solving a problem. And that's it. So we all talk about this, right? So since 1985, Kaizen is happening. Yes, change is a consistent thing, all those things. But what transformation has happened with Kaizen? Because people are getting bored when we say 5S. Boss, 5S, 6S, now please bring 10S. 7 waste. Somebody said 8 waste. Why not 10 waste? Yeah, we are getting bored with all those same old 5S and 6S and all. Yes, we also have evolved. Kaizen also has gone through a journey of evolution, and all this evolution has taken place by self-experience. What we learn from history is, we do not learn from history. How many of you agree? What we learn from history is, we do not learn from history. And when you do not learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it. So, that is what we do this PDCA. You remember, what do we do with this PDCA? We plan, discuss, confuse, abandon. Right? So we do this plan, do, check and act. That means I go through this evaluation and I correct my mistakes. It is not practice that makes somebody perfect, but practice with improvement makes somebody perfect. Are we together? So this is all about that. When 1985, when Kaizen was started, it was just like a spot Kaizen. Sporadically, random, point Kaizen or spot Kaizen, whatever that you call it. Are you finding it difficult because I keep moving? To the cameraman, I'm just asking. It's okay, fine. And it was all generic because it was sporadically happening on random places, but it was not giving anything to the customer per se. Yes, improvements were happening sporadically in certain areas. So from there, we moved on, made changes, and then we came out with something that the Kaizen umbrella started expanding into it. What did we do? The Kaizen version 2, we started something called as tool focused. When we said the total flow management, it's all about the lean where my processes are valuable and it becomes waste free. Then we brought capabilities where defect free, total quality management came into picture. Everything was available, breakdown free, total presentation management, total productive maintenance came into picture. And then for non-manufacturing areas, service management came into picture. And of course, we have to give back something to the environment. So total environment management came into picture. So Kaizen started not only focusing on the sporadic areas, but the umbrella started spreading to all these tool focused, and these were till 2000. The next decade, we started shifting in a different focus now. The Kaizen management system, or what we call it as the change model, because we have been going there, providing our services to our customer, but by the time we come back, everything goes back to square one. And if you go after a period of 3-4 months, everything is go back to square one. Why Kaizen is not getting sustained? People remove waste, but they don't prevent the waste from coming in. So we started thinking, and then that's where this change model started coming into picture. So we started working on it, and then that was the birth child of this daily Kaizen. The change model has got daily Kaizen, that has to do with all the value adders, and then the breakthrough Kaizen, that has to do with the middle management who focus only on the improvements, and for the leaders, it's leaders Kaizen, and a governance team that is to support the entire journey of them. From there again, the next version of Kaizen that we started, coming with this business systems here. Here again, now, strategy. All our Kaizen initiatives should align to the strategy of the organization, where we want to go 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 5 years from now. And are my Kaizen initiatives aligned to this journey? There is a direction, Hoshin country, there is a direction. Based on the direction, I will create a roadmap, and then we have to, that is where we started with that Strat Kaizen. And we wanted to get rid of the perception that Kaizen is not only for operations or manufacturing. As we said, no, Kaizen everywhere, right? So it has to happen on the growth also, innovation, time to market, product development, accelerated product development, sales and marketing, challenger selling, everywhere. All this growth model that we started encapsulating. So we spread it our horizon. Of course, operations are there, all these tool focus were there. Then these were all culture focused. Now again, in this, from this, on the new Kaizen business system, again, evolution through our experiential learning, what we are now trying to do is the same thing. This cultural model is going to address on entire transformation, not small changes. The entire organization has to transform. That is what we are focusing, along with the excellence in ESG. Because this is the talk of the town, everybody is talking about this. So involving ESG also into the umbrella of. So this is how Kaizen has transformed or evolved all those years. So now tools plus culture plus ESG is what the new Kaizen is all about. From 2025 onwards, this will be the focus areas. And of course, to tell you all these things, it is all focused on what? Growth, quality, cost, delivery, and motivation for the employees. That is what this GQCDEM, so I'll talk about. And where we are going, and what we say here is, from manufacturing to university of application. Whether you produce car or a carrot, the concepts of Kaizen will remain the same. We will try to adapt it irrespective of this business style. It not only operations, not only manufacturing, it could be in sales, it could be in purchase, it could be in logistics, distribution, you name it, you can practice it. That is what we are trying to bring it in. So what happens? So Kaizen now, the objective is getting changed from creating a culture of continuous improvement to we have to build the organizations that prepares for the disruption and guarantee that the culture is transformed to create a competitive advantage. Why we are practicing Kaizen? To keep ourselves one pace ahead of our competitor, nothing more. So how to get this competitive advantage by creating this transformation is all about that we are going to go about it. So a leader, is it nature or you nurture a leader? How do we say? Right? We have to nurture the leaders. That is what we are trying to do in our Leaders Kaizen. When we talk about it, the purpose is to support every individual in the organization so that, because a leader is accountable for the result of his team members. That is what he has to do. He is accountable for the result of his team, nothing else. At the same time, ikigai, that's what we say. What is the purpose in doing? I always say for the Indians who understand Hindi, TQM. What is TQM? Tere ko kya mila? What's in it for me? We have to make, the leaders have to make it explicit. What's in it for me? Why we have to practice this? That is what we say. And then you foster a committed workforce toward the organization. Unless the leader is committed, that's what Sensei Masaki Imai-san says. There are 3 secrets of success for Kaizen. The first and foremost is all about top management commitment. Second is also equally important is top management commitment. Last but not the least, the secret is top management commitment. When we say top management, it is not about the creamy layer that we are talking about. Every tier has to be treated as a separate unit, and every tier leader becomes, and when these leaders are committed to Kaizen, these things happening. So how do we go ahead? Who are all the Kaizen leaders? The Kaizen leaders are the one who shapes the decisions. And of course, they inspire. That is what we talked about, the motivation. When these inspiration are given an action that turns into motivation. They don't go for short-term gains. They always look for long-term values. They don't wait for clarity. Even if it is an unclear territory, let me just proceed ahead. That's what we saw in Mr. Raghuvanji's session also. Don't just wait, do it. So they don't. They go, they navigate through the uncertainty. That is what it is all about. And we are not worried about the problems, we are worried about the patterns. A leader always looks for the pattern in the problems. They don't want any template to download and then start doing it. They create their own templates. So in all this context, how that purpose of leadership comes into picture, it's all about he was talking about bigger ambition than the mission or something like that. Vision, mission, from the organizational perspective that we are talking about. And when it comes to the capabilities, it is the principles, because the values, principle is the way that we act, and values are that is fed into us. That governs our behavior. What is principle? It is the one that governs our behavior. And these behaviors are becoming our habits, and the collective habits become the culture. So what drives my behavior is what the principles that we are talking about. So from the organization perspective, they have to create that. From the individual perspective, it is all about this. Authority and relationships and capability development. I always say that in India or even in Africa to an extent, the moment we start yearning, we stop learning. Are we together? We treat our degrees and diplomas as a ticket to land in a job, right? And whatever we study in these universities has nothing to do with what we are doing there in the organization. So if I do not, we are all living in the world of exponential changes, and if we do not develop our capabilities, how are we going to cater to the changing environment in the business? So we have to develop our capabilities from time and again. That is what it says. So what does this matrix talks about is, the context is here, organizational circumstances. That is adapting to the future. That is what we are talking about. Because exponential changes are about to happen. So we need to have a goal and the need for it, why we are here in the business. And then for the stakeholders, it is all about the interest, and we have to create awareness to the organization by communicating to them. How to do that? So you execute it through the policies and procedures that what we are going to create it. And then for the individuals, how we are aligning them to the organizational goals. So you create service level agreements, the roles and responsibilities, and then you create this cooperative nature. And at the end of the thing, this is what? Simply go, do, act. So how do we incorporate all these in our Kaizen thing? This is our building blocks. We are talking about business transformation. No longer it is called as a business system or something like that. I'm going to transform the entire business way that we are going to do about it. Why? How? By changing the paradigms. Changing capability. How ready or how willing are we to change? How many of you have tried to do your signature on your non-dominant hand? Have you ever tried it? Even if somebody asked you, so how many times would you try to get it right? The amount of times that you are going to attempt will tell you how willing are you to be changed. And as leaders, we have to inculcate this culture into them. So how we are going to build this? To begin with, this is what we say. Project Kaizens. Take up some low-hanging fruit. Give some confidence to the teams that this can happen. Changing the processes. Because we cannot change results. We cannot change results. But we can change the processes that gives you the results. Are we together? I always say that I have a tummy. I have to reduce this tummy. Every morning I measure it. Will it go down? That is chasing the result. I had to jog, I had to do abs, I have to reduce my carbohydrate content, protein. These are all the processes. If I do this, will it go down? That is what we say. We change these value stream processes so that you can get different results, because if I keep doing the same thing again and again, if I am lucky, I might get the same results. And we all know that we are all living in the world of exponential changes. I have to keep my process change. Then comes develop a culture of continuous improvement. Habits, that's what we say. Today, Taichi Ono-san said that not able to see the problem is the biggest problem. So we have to sensitize our team members to see what is a problem. How do you define a problem? Anything that deviates from expectations is a problem. People should know what is expected out of them on a day-to-day basis, on a shift-wise. Unless they know, it is very difficult for them to solve the problems. Because if I do not see the problem, I will never solve the problem, then the problem will become a part and parcel of our processes. That's why we have to sensitize the people to see the problems so that they can solve the problems. And when they are solving a problem, they are doing something different, that they have to standardize it so that it can be sustained. So, to build a culture of continuous improvement for the value adders, we start with this daily Kaizen. And then comes strat Kaizen, where we have to go. So, business breakthroughs. And all of these building blocks are supported by transformation Kaizen, which has got two elements into it: Kaizen governance, and of course, the important, because this governance is going to help you in the transformation process, then the leadership. As leaders, what we are supposed to do? We should be always ready for change. All of us wants change, right? But how many of us wants to change? And how many of us wants to lead the change? As leaders, we should be prepared to lead the change, and to lead the change, first thing that we need to do is to learn the change, anticipate the change, and then lead it, control it, and then you steer it. These are the 4 steps in leadership Kaizen. So by doing this is where we are going to focus, because the objective is to reduce your monitoring time. Don't do policing act. Reduce your monitoring time, but identify the opportunities and coach the team for engage, educate, empower. How to do this? There are some challenges. These are all some numbers. These numbers has nothing to do with us. How we do is we have to compete with ourselves. Let us not go by this. But the thing is, 70% of the thing is failing because the top leadership is not committed to the transformation that is happening in the field. Unless they are committed, it is not going to happen. So how we are going to go about it? Again, focus on Kaizen leadership. How to do this? We'll start with learn to change, lead the change, control the change. By changing the processes, we are going to get a different results. That is what we say is coaching and mentoring. Leaders as coaches. This is what we are trying to say here. You lead by example, and then you give them the direction. Let them decide how they are going to go about it, but guide them. All these elements is what the leadership has to do. When we are doing that, the changes required here is an involved CEO has to do that. As we have seen it, the first one is all about demonstrate the model behaviors. We saw that paradigms, the capability changes. The shift in the paradigm has to be brought in by the leaders. We have to prepare our team for the changes that is going to happen, without which the transformation is going on. So you create your own model behaviors. And once you did that, you lead by example. And then leaders as coaches. What was the last time that we coached them? It is not about hand-holding and teaching them or training them. There's a big difference between coaching and training. A coach never teaches. He only maximizes the potentials. As a leader, we have to maximize the potential of our team members. Don't give them a glass of water, make them thirsty, but ensure that they go to the right source of water. How to do this? Only a strong management leadership, full extent. For this, we need to adapt ourselves to this inverted triangle structure. Instead of now, it's all hanging on you. The management support should lift up the Gemba owners or value adders. That is how it has to be reversed. Always think differently. Kaizen is all about doing things differently. So let us change this structure in an inverted triangle methodology. We will get into it. That is what we try to say that. To do this change, there are certain levels that we have adapted, which we will be seeing in the knowledge session. A detailed thing will be taken through all these levels you can see from Mr. Grover's session, but I'm just giving you only the introduction to this. I will not be going to these details. First thing is all about calibrating the entire leadership team to one goal. We cannot have people looking at different directions and everybody goes in. The Columbus management, how many of you know that? Columbus management? He wanted to go where? When he started sailing. He wanted to reach India, right? Where did he end up? And then he claimed that as India, right? When somebody said people have to be brown here, no, these are red Indians. And all he did in somebody else's money, that is a different story. So let us have a clear vision where we have to go. Let us have that, and then we monitor on it and then see to that. Here we talk about TWIJR, that stands for training within industry, job relations, how scientifically we can establish a cordial relationship between leaders and their peers. And then if the leader has to coach, and we are all in the world of exponential changes, the leader has to develop himself. If he doesn't develop, how can he develop others? So let us have some leadership training and coaching for the leaders. A competency map. Just like we are having a skill matrix for all our value adders, why not have a competency mapping for our leaders and let them have their own goals, which competency they will acquire by what time? That is what this competency matrix and development plan. And they have to lead by example. They cannot say, all of you do value stream Kaizen projects, but I will not do. Things will never work. So they have to participate in all the project Kaizens, in all the daily Kaizens, wherever it is possible, whenever it is possible. To show that I am here, I am supporting you. Participate, because then you know the reality. And then of course, from voice of customers, it is not only about the external customers, also about internal customers. There is something called as Hansai. It's all about reflection, reflecting back what went right, what went wrong, where we have to improve, where we have to stop or correct ourselves. That they have to keep on doing it. Kata stands for routines. When we say improvement as a routine, coaching as a routine, both has to happen. It's all about the patterns and not about problem solving. Identifying the patterns. Kata is all about it. It is focusing only on, because when people hit a knowledge threshold, Kata comes into picture, drives them. And of course, box score methodology for lean accounting, because many a time, thing that what we differ from the traditional finance team, all these non-living things, they are all assets. And people with brains are cost. Do you all agree with this? A real Kaizen guy may not agree with that, right? These people are the assets, right? But in finance, it is always different. So lean accounting gives a different perspective to this entire thing. How putting everything into direct cost, because we do not know the ingredients of overheads, which masks all our inefficiencies. In lean accounting, it exposes all. It tries to bring everything into direct. That's what this box score is all about. So how as a leader to think in this way and not in a traditional finance management way, so we can add value to the organization. So for this, if I have to coach, transformation Kaizen has to happen, and these are the things: daily Kaizen, project Kaizen, strategic Kaizen. This is where we have to, and there are certain responsibilities listed out for each of them, and we have to take it. As we said, every tier has got a leader, and each one of them has to stick to their own. Of course, if it is in a multi-location environment, then these things will little bit change. And transformation never happens in 6 months or 7 months. It's no abracadabra business. You have to wait for it, minimum of 3 years. Pertinent efforts have to be put in. Wait, if you're sown a carrot, don't take it out in every day and see how much it has grown. wait for it, follow the right processes, you will get the right results. Ensure that we are practicing the right processes. And with this, I come to the end of this session. And if you're not adequately confused, there's a long session over waiting for you there. Grover San will give you more details on that. Thank you.